How much fun is it playing like a Disney villain? I feel like you got like Ursula and Scar. Jafar is like up there. It's got to be just the coolest thing.
It really is, yeah. So the original film of Aladdin came out in '92. So I don't remember the exact release date. So I was either like 8 or 9 years old when it came out, and so that for me was like my peak Disney movie of my childhood. Uh, and it was like populated by people who looked like me, and it was a very cool experience. And then inside of that, you have this villain who is so interesting and fun and like charming, but also just an evil dude. And it's like it's the most fun to play, and the story is so fun to be a part of.
Just looking at the pictures online, you've got some makeup. How long does that take to put on? Because I'm an actor too, and I've gotten so used to not having to put on any makeup, just going to the theater, putting on my costume, and just heading out. And then leaving, just wiping my hair down, and putting my clothes on, and just getting the heck out.
Yeah, it's a process. And a lot of my past experience has been what you were describing, is just show up, do my own preparation to get ready. But really, in terms of makeup, I don't haven't typically done a lot. So this is the design that they employ in the Broadway production, um, which they taught to me during the tech process. And as somebody who hadn't been super used to doing a lot of makeup, that was probably like the most stressful part of like learning the role was making sure that I could execute it every night on time. I try to get there about 90 minutes before curtain. If I'm not working 90 minutes before curtain, I feel a little bit panicky and rushed. Um, but yeah, it's a very big transformation, and it has become honestly like one of my favorite parts of doing the show is that time to myself to really like, I'm not 100% stoic and just staring into the mirror, but it is a lot of time by myself to really focus on the job at hand. And I appreciate that. I didn't go into it thinking that that was what it was going to be, but it really is a
Hmm.
lot of time to center on the character and the work of that evening. And you literally watch the character appear before your eyes. The part where I know I'm at the point of no return every night is when the facial recognition on my phone no longer works. I
That's cool.
can't open it
I
up.
would have never thought about that. Yeah.
That's when it's like, okay, we're in it. We're doing
Yeah.
it.
That's but putting on that makeup and like the costumes that you have, I mean, at least I know for me, it would be so much easier just to slip right into that character. You don't have to like sort of think about things or process things. That's you. You're there.
It really is. And the costume too informs the way I move a lot. I'm walking around with a big cobra staff that's as tall as I am, and that really informs the way I have to hold myself. And if for no other reason than that the thing doesn't upstage me, steal my light.
Yeah.
Uh, but it really is. It's been a big blessing, I would say, to have all these other elements that really, like you say, it makes finding the character very easy every night. And then on top of that, you have this, like I said, the performance in the original film that as like a kind of like centering place, is so wonderful to have this template of what it is that
Uh,
is so ingrained in my memory.
right, right. How is it? Because I know you want to make the part your own, but you don't want to make it too, off to where the kids and people don't recognize it. How did you go about that? Because I know like, I have a memory of Jafar, from when I first saw him, like, how do
Yeah.
you make it your own?
Fortunately, I'm terrible at doing impressions, so even if I try to mimic it perfectly, it's gonna be my own thing. But and seriously, like I do think that just by virtue of me or whatever actor doing it, it it makes it your own. You know, you can try to replicate as best you can, but you're gonna put your own touches on it,
Mhm.
and so I didn't worry too much about that throughout. I came into it with uh, not really any knowledge at all about the stage production of it. I hadn't seen it before we started rehearsals. I didn't know much about the stage adaptation, so I didn't have a memory of that. Um, but yeah, I found it to be much more of a helpful thing than like a hindering or feeling too bound by that.
I once did a show. I once did The Producers, and I played Franz Liebken, and I did something so far off that would people wouldn't have normally seen the show. And then one of the reviews I got was Lance Carter made a completely odd choice, but somehow it worked. I'm not sure whether that was a compliment or what, but yeah, I know I can see what you're saying. Yeah. Um, how how's the reaction from the kids in the audience? I mean, do they love to love to hate you?
Yeah, it's well, kids, adults, everybody. I know I've done it right if I hear like a couple of boos sprinkled in at the curtain call. Uh, it really is the interaction with the kids has been delightful, and like hearing that response from the crowd, and also just it's been really wonderful to see how it plays for all ages. You know, it is obviously I think people associate the show, it's an animated thing, they think kids. Um but it really is there are elements in it that are for everybody. It's we sometimes describe it as like a great date movie because like it's got everything in it. It's got like comedy, it's got the uh beautiful score, some of which we all remember from that original movie and some of which is new for the stage production. It's got some swashbuckling elements to it. It's got these beautiful, beautiful costumes and choreography and lighting elements, sound elements, the set that we bring along with us. Um, it's a great night out for everybody. But yeah, it's been of course it tickles you to hear the kids' reactions out
Right.
there and you know sign some autographs at the end of the night. It's a lot of fun.
Uh, so I read you were like working pretty steadily in regional theater before you got the audition. How did you get the audition? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, so I live in Chicago. So this world of like commercial Broadway touring theater was like I I wasn't auditioning for it. It wasn't on my radar at all. And I, I don't know how it came through my agents. I don't know who thought to put me up for it or what, but it was one of those things where as soon as I like looked into it, like I said, I was pretty ignorant of the stage adaptation, and I was like, what was I doing? Like, how did I not know that this existed? It felt like a part that was kind of tailor made to what I do, to how I sound, how I look, what the roles that I play. Uh, and so from there, it was just like it's also one of those things that you open up the audition and you're like, sure, I'll tape something, but who know? Sure, I'm not gonna get this. And then it just kind of kept going up the chain of like I couldn't believe it every time that I was advancing up, and I went through a few rounds, and not to say that you know I don't believe in my own abilities, but it is like one of those. It felt kind of pie in the sky of a national tour. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Nice.
And then that all culminated in it was in the age of where we've all gotten very good at self tapes and Zoom. So I went through those rounds, and then it culminated in a final audition in New York.
Nice. Nice. What was that call like when you got it?
It was amazing. It was really, really, really amazing. Again, I still am in, like, one corner of my brain is just disbelief that I'm doing this, and that I'm lucky enough to be doing this. And that was definitely present on that call. It's been a lot of fun.
I bet, yeah. I know I only got you for another couple more minutes, but I got to ask you about Tony the Tiger.
Yep.
That's amazing, man. That's so cool. So, like, what does that all encompass, and how did you like? How did that come to you?
I mean, that was
You got the voice,
absolutely
man. Listen to that deep, like, smooth voice.
it was absolutely another one of those, like, oh yeah, the audition came in and I was like, one in a million chance that this would ever happen. But it was, again, I the audition came in and I was like, oh wow, they're looking for a new Tony. I had never played around with that voice. I obviously grew up watching a lot of the commercials
Yeah,
and
Saturday morning kids. Yeah.
another animated character who is firmly planted in the brain. And then as I was messing around with it, I was like, oh, I do a pretty good Tony the Tiger. Okay. And then they bounced back. I got a call back, and it booked. It was like, it's one of those things where it was like the most mundane of audition processes, of voiceover auditions, but it was for something so incredible, and it just happened to work out.
Did they say they specifically wanted you to sound like the Tony the Tiger that sort of we have in our brain, in our ears, you know?
It was like a mix of things. It was obviously some new text and some new ideas about it, but also you got to be able to be to be the
Yeah.
guy.
Right, right, yeah. And then you were on Colbert, right?
Yeah, so the other really cool part about when I joined this new campaign, starting in 2019, they started incorporating that the actor was not only going to be the voice, but also be the motion capture and facial capture for him. So that was the launch of that. That experiment was with Stephen Colbert, live in front of an audience,
That's awesome.
which was very cool. So they looked at on stage and saw Stephen talking to me in the mocap suit, and but they looked at the monitor and saw, all of a sudden, we're seeing Tony the Tiger.
Right, right.
It was very cool.
So how does that work when you're on tour? Do they just like book a recording studio for you, or like how if, like you're needed?
Yeah, as needed, and honestly, our I'm staring at my desktop setup right now. It's all very, in terms of recording VO stuff. I feel like we've all gotten very
Oh, you, so you
seamless.
travel, so you travel with all of it and all.
Yeah, I travel just a very basic desktop, you know, USB mic, and
Hmm.
the tech is so good now that you're able to do a lot from just about anywhere.
Yeah, I do all my stuff with and on this contraption here. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, nice, man. Hey, really nice talking to you, man. I'm so proud of you. So happy for your success.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be out in California.
Yeah, come on out. The weather's nice for once right now. No rain.
Excellent.